Okay, welcome back. Today we're talking about system of equations, and I'm going to show you how to use your calculator, the TI, the Texas Instrument 83 and 84. So first, solving system of equations, there are three ways we can solve it by hand. One is graphing, which nobody would like to do. The second thing is to solve it by substitution, and finally, elimination. So by hand, I'm going to show you how to do this by elimination. So if I'm looking at my y and my minus y, look what they do if we add them together. We add these two equations together, they cancel each other out. So what's left is x plus x is 2x. 10 plus 2 is 12. To solve it, divide by 2. X equals 6. So if you put 6 in for your x for your equation, 6 plus y equals 10. Subtract 6 on both sides, y equals 4. So that means if we actually graph this, 6, 4 would be my point that both these equations would meet at, or they would intersect. Now this 6 and 4, 6 plus 4 is 10. 6 minus 4 is 2. These have to work on both equations. So now what I want to do is I want to show us how to do this by a calculator. Now, I'm going to show you, just do a short lesson on matrix. Matrix is row by column. So that means here's row 1, here's row 2, column goes up and down. Think of the front of your house. So column 1, column 2, column 3. So this means that these equations is what we call a 2 by 3. Now, to do this by your calculators, what I want to show you is the first thing you need to do is you need to go to your calculator and hit your second button and the little symbol x to the negative 1. That's on the left side of your calculator. This brings up a matrix screen. So when you hit second, like I said, second and that x to the negative 1, and it brings you up with A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Now what I want you to do on your A screen, looks like this right here, take your arrow and move over to Edit, hit Enter, and at the very top, you should have something by something. So you can put right there, you could type in the 2 by 3 at the very top. Once you hit 2 by 3 and hit Enter, then you can enter in the slots. So for the top, what you want to do, your matrix will look like this right here. So the top is my green equations. So I'm going to represent that in green. So the x is a 1, the y is a 1, and then you have a 20. So all you have to do is hit 1 enter, and 20 enter. Then it goes to the blue one. And on the blue one, the x is a 1, so you could say 1. The y is a negative 1, and then you have a 4. So once we do this, then I want you to do your second button in mode. That's quit. And that exit you out of your matrix screen. And then I want you to go back in. Hit second and your exit -1 back to the matrix screen. And go to math. It's your middle option. Hit enter. Go all the way down to option B. It's the RREF. Hit enter. And you should, once you hit enter, the RREF with your parentheses is on your screen. Then all you have to do is go back to your matrix again, go back to second and your X -1, and then you go to your names. So I'm going to say second X -1, and then you hit names. You put in your A because that's what we're referencing our matrix. So on your calculator, you should get to this right here and hit enter. And what happens is you should have an RREF with the matrix A. You hit enter. I'm giving you a little bit of time. So once you hit enter, you should get another matrix. So if you need to go back and to follow these steps, feel free to. Because it's going to take a little time for us to get where we get used to this calculator and your options. So when I go ahead and I do that option B again, and I define with my matrix, I'm doing this along with you all. You should get 1, 0, 12, 0, 1, 8. The first one is my X. My second one is my Y. So this is saying X equals 12, Y equals 8. Now notice something on my matrix. You have to have a 1 in diagonals. It has to be 1, 1, and then my others are zeros. Then I can have my answer. So if the 12, 8, if we go all the way back to our original, you put 12 in for X, 8 in for Y. 12 plus 8 is 20. 12 minus 8 is 4. So now I want you to try to do this. Here are I'm going to go back over this again. I'll let you all copy this as I scroll down. And feel free to go back and look this over again because, like I said, it's going to take several times for us to do this. Now, on my number 3, okay, now we could still use, if you want to use this as my matrix A, that's perfectly fine. This is also, if you look at it, it's a 2 by 3. So if you use your A and 2 by 3, all you have to do is go to edit, like we did before. We go like our number 2, edit, and put in our numbers. Three, -8, and 10. 2, -5, and -13. So I'm going to let you take some time to follow those steps with this one. And I want you to see what you come up with. And when it's all said and done, for number 3, your matrix should look like a 1, a 0, a 0, a 1. And then our numbers would be -154 and -59. So that means my first 1 is my X. This second one right here is my Y. So X equals -154. Y equals -59. If you are asked to put this in coordinate form, this would be -154, -59. Always go back and check your work. This does work, but you need to check in both equations and put X and Y in. And the first one would equal 10, and the second one would equal -13. If they do not equal, that means you've done something wrong. So finally, what we're going to do is we're going to use the same kind of setup, but now with like a number 4. Now, on number 4, what we're going to do is, this is a different type of matrix. Watch this. When I put in my numbers, look at my X. That's -1, -5, -5, and 2. 4, -5, 4, and 19. And 1, 5, -1, and -20. Now, if you want to label this on your calculator as matrix B, what is B? Look how many rows it has. 1, 2, 3. So this is a 3. Look how many columns. Columns go up and down by 4. So on B, instead of putting a 2 by 3, you would do a 3 by 4. Now, once you go through all of my steps, here's what you should get. It should look now like a 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1. You will always have a 1 diagonal, just like what I have. And then you have a -2, a -3, and a 3. So now, since this is a 3 by 4, we've got an X, a Y, and now the Z. So now X is -2. Y is -3, Z is 3. So like I said, repeat this as many times as you can. Also, here's some hints for you. Let's just say you have one of your matrix lines that look like this. Okay, and you want to know how in the world do you put this in matrix form? Well, let's look at this. We got an X. We don't have a Y. We have a Z. It should be an XYZ format, ABC format. And then you have your equals a number. So X is 1. You don't have anything for Y. Your Z has the -5. And then you have your answer. This is how you would look on your first part of the matrix. What happens if I give you a second one like this format? 2x plus 3y equals 8z plus 7. Well, what I need to do is I need to move my z over to this other side by subtracting it. So now what my matrix would look like is my 2 for x, y gets the 3, z now is not a positive 8, it's a negative 8, and the 7 stays how it is. Another way we could do this is this. We can make you all have several different ways or steps to use. So look, I need to move my y over by subtracting. And then I need to add my 1 to the other side because we need to put the numbers on the other side. So now this matrix would look like a negative 4. Y, look, notice how I put y in between x and z. Negative 5, 6, and now it's going to be a positive 1, not a negative 1. Now take a look at my last one. I've got a series of ways where after we try to find what our answer is, what is the correct format? Well, I'm going to show you this. Here's my rule of thumb. You always have to have a diagonal of positive 1s. Every other has to be a 0. Then you have your numbers. So the first one would be the correct answer. And in this case, x would be 4, y would be 5, z would be 6. Now take a look at this one. I've got my diagonal, but then I have this guy right here. This right here means there's no solution. Because you have to have that diagonal. Everything else has to be a 0. Now, you can't have a 0 as your answer right here. And these could be negative or positive. But over here, you should only have a 1 diagonal. Everything else should be zeros. Finally, let's look at the other one. Now, notice I've got a diagonal, but watch this. There's 2 things that happens in this one. You cannot have a negative 1, and you cannot have this 1 here. So this is also no solution. So I hope this helps by using your calculator. Go back and repeat this as many times as you can. Thank you for listening.